Hey guys, it's Andrew from Tenco Hydro. Thanks for the email. This is a video to kind of walk you through what we would do to select for this application. We are going to have pricing in this video as well, but I wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of educate you guys. Kirk is the National Sales Director, and he is CC'd on this email. He's on a hunting trip right now, so this might be something that Kirk would do in the future, but regardless, he'll be back in about a week. So to size a Scum concentrator, and I'm just going to pull your email up here, for 100 GPM of Scum, and then I see we do have some preliminary numbers for design criteria. 100 GPM of Scum, which is then sent to a landfill, so they're not reusing the Scum. I would go to Products, Scum Concentrator, and then Product Configurator. And that's where I would get this pulled up. And this right here is pretty much all of our standard options. We do have some modifications from this, and we do a lot of custom work as well. But this is a really good place to start if you want to have a conversation with somebody about a Scum concentrator. If you were to just go to this page, you could first ask them, what's the inlet GPM? In this case, it's 100 GPM. So we're between these two sizes. If it's rectangular and if it's trapezoidal, we would be doing this size here. This is a 4 foot by 16 foot rectangle. It's about 8 feet tall. This is a 5 foot by 16 foot rectangle, same 8 feet tall. And we can put these on stands. We can make them taller or maybe even a little bit shorter. But regardless, so those are the two sizes, and the rectangles are designed for 20 minutes of detention time. If you wanted to do the trapezoidal, you would be at a 6 foot by 17 foot. That would be the footprint, the rectangular footprint on the ground. The design itself is trapezoidal, so the tank looks a little bit different. It's trapezoidal design, so you get a little bit less detention time, but the beach is a little bit longer, so you get a little bit more dewatering. So there's kind of pluses and minuses to both. Trapezoidal is a little bit cheaper. If you were to do a 4 by 17 foot trapezoidal, those for the basic model start at around 175. If you were to do the 6 by 17, you're in the low 200s. I'm gonna give you a ballpark number right now and say 200 for a 6 by 17, and that's honestly pretty similar to a 5 by 16 rectangular. I wouldn't expect a huge price difference. This is less steel, but it's a little bit bigger footprint, and this is a little bit more steel and a little bit smaller footprint. So a good ballpark is about 200K, just kind of for the tank with basic controls. So that would be one number I would be giving them. We do 6 by 26, and we've done bigger as well. But so 5 by 16 is probably what we would go with. If you undersized it, if you did the 4 by 16, it would work. And then if you ever got up to 110 GPM or, really scummy stuff, you'd see reduced performance. It wouldn't hurt anything. I mean, you could throw 200 gallons per minute through this thing, and for some applications that might be okay. But definitely off the bat, we want to be sizing, correctly, but it doesn't hurt anything if it goes higher. So that's where we would go. 304 stainless steel is our standard material. We've done some that are 316 stainless steel. We haven't done a carbon steel Scum concentrator in quite a while. We try and do as much non-metallic or stainless steel of a design as we can. So 304 stainless, SCM 050016, holding tank. So if this is going directly into a dumpster, then we would be doing a no tank, and that's where we'd be staying at that $200,000 budgetary number. If they want to have a holding tank, we would highly recommend having it be heated and mixed. If the Scum is going to be in there for any amount of time, if you don't do that, you're probably going to get settling, even indoors. Some people don't heat their Scum tanks even when they're indoors, and you can get away with it. But at the bare minimum, we would recommend having electric heating blankets. You'd have heat trace, so you could turn it on and off. You could also do the immersion heater. That's a little bit more of a premium option. I recommend that for a lot of things. Kind of depends on budget, what they're going for. Once you add a holding tank, you're up at around 230, 240 as a budgetary number. This really, I'm not checking the price of steel today, so I'm giving you a ballpark number, but And then if you were to go to something like this, you'd be more at the 250. So 200 grand for no tank. For any tank at all, it would be at least 230. And we typically do C1 in terms of controls, which you get a VFD, a skimmer. You get the skimmer mechanism with a VFD. If they wanted to do more control, so that would be keeping us at that 200 or that 230, 240 number with the holding tank. If they wanted to do more controls, something that's really common with a Scum concentrator, you can have a mag meter on the inlet, and it can have a rate and a total. So it can, first of all, it can tell you what the GPM is that's coming into the Scum concentrator. And then it can totalize. Let's say you go with the 5x16, and that's let's just say a 300 gallon tank. It's 300 gallons. Well, the mag meter can tell you when 300 gallons has gone through, and then when 600 gallons has gone through, and then when 900 gallons. And so it can give you every 300 gallons. That means the tank is full, turn on the skimmer. That's something that we would probably recommend as a controls option, which is a really basic controls package. We can get a lot more complicated. If it's only 100 GPM, it's probably a more simple version. So we can talk about all these other ones, but you're probably at about that C1 in terms of controls. Is pretty much a VFD. We'd like to put an inlet mag meter that hooks up with a timer of some sort to run the skimmer. That way it's just a little bit more automated. So yeah, controls, we can do standalone systems that are much more complex for hundreds of gallons per minute. Let me know if that's of interest. We can have more temperature and level indication as needed. Right now, I would say for C1, if they're going to do a holding tank, that does not include level indication on the holding tank. So we could have the pump at the bottom of the holding tank run when it reaches a certain level in the tank of the holding tank, and then the concentrated scum pump would take the scum elsewhere. So we could do that, but we don't know right now if they want a tank. And then lastly, I'll just go through some accessories briefly. If you're going to have a holding tank, we highly recommend getting a concentrated scum transfer pump. If you want some type of a debris strainer, if they want a platform with this, that might be something they'd be interested in. That way they can walk along the machine and they can inspect it and do maintenance and all that kind of stuff. If they don't have some type of platform, we'd highly recommend it. And this is going to be a ballpark number of $20,000. I'm just kind of throwing that one out there. That's about right for this size. And we can make this out of carbon steel, and then we can hot dip it, and it would last in terms of corrosive environments. It would last for decades. Or we can make it out of aluminum. That's either way is fine, frankly. It's just pluses and minuses. Either way, you'd be walking on aluminum grating. So, extension stand, if you wanted to make the entire Scum concentrator taller for any reason, then we could add like an additional extension stand. And then field welding is if they have to fit this tank through a small door and then get it into a room, and they want the tank to be bigger than the door they're walking through, or the man door, whatever you call it, we can cut the tank into two pieces, and then you put it through the door in two pieces, and then you weld it on the other side. So we have an engineered design for this. I can show you a lot more info. I'm oversimplifying for this purposes of this video, but we can do that. If they want anything custom, let us know. So just to run you by it one more time, we'd probably recommend a 5x16 304 stainless steel. Right now I'm going to say no tank, because maybe they don't need a holding tank. Controls, maybe we'll go with the C1 option, and we'll throw in that mag meter so they've got a little bit of automation, but not too much. And then for accessories, probably an access platform. I think that might be likely. But so it would be 200 grand ballpark for just the concentrator with no holding tank, basic controls, roughly. If they wanted to add the holding tank, it's like another 30 grand, so they'd be at 230. And then if they wanted to add the access platform, you'd be at around 250,000. So those are ballpark numbers. Happy to work up a official proposal, have a conversation with the customer, anything that you guys want us to do. And thanks for the inquiry, and we'll talk to you soon.